Okay, it is past 7 p.m. So without further ado, we will begin the first council meeting of 2024. I just want to welcome everybody. Good turnout, so that is excellent. One little bit of housekeeping. There is a sign-in sheet when you came in. It looked like a lot of people had already signed it, but just please make sure that you sign in this evening because there's a public hearing. So with that, we'll call the council meeting to order, and we have a reading from Councillor Richardson.
In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge our meeting place. The City of Flin Flon Council Chambers is situated on our ancestral lands of the Treaty 5 territory. We would like to acknowledge that we also work in partnership with Métis Nation in Treaty 6 and 10 territories and the Métis Nation.
Thank you. That we're going to go a little bit out of the order of the agenda, just for the press this evening, just because you have the agenda in front of you, just so you're aware. But we are going to skip directly to the public hearing. So with that, we'll open up the public hearing for BL 2023-18 and BL 2023-19. And the way that this will work is we'll have Lynn Brown, who's our CAO, just give a brief overview of what the public hearing is in regards to. And then I will call on anybody in the crowd if they would like to speak on, if there's any representation. So we'll get started right now. So Lynn, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to try and speak loud enough because I don't have a microphone. Okay, good, thank you. The general intent of this bylaw is to redesignate a portion of land in the City of Flin Flon from park and recreation to residential. Bylaw number 2023-18 seeks to amend Appendix A, Land Use Classification Map, being part of the City of Flin Flon Development Plan, bylaw number 37-83, by redesigning the south half of Block 94, Plan number 643, PLTO N Division in northwest quarter of 867-29 WPM from park and recreation to residential. The subject area is approximately 2.25 acres in size and located north of Spruce Avenue between Parkway Boulevard and Green Street in the City of Flin Flon. The area proposed for redesignation is the former location of the Willowvale Curling Club and includes the Willowvale Wading Pool, which is temporarily closed, and Green Street Playground with its associated public green space. The Joe Brain Petting Zoo, which is operational only in summer, occupies the north half of the site. The site surrounding the parcel is currently designated as residential and is a fully developed single-family neighborhood. The proposed site is accessed via municipal roads and servicing is provided by municipal sewer and water. The purpose of the proposed redesignation is to facilitate the development of a multi-unit seniors housing assisted living complex. Currently, Flin Flon has an absence of available opportunities for this type of housing. The proposed development will allow for aging in place of older residents, which is much needed in the community and surrounding region. This area is to be established with the development staged over 2 years from site prep to completion. This what I'm reading comes from the Community Planning Branch, Province of Manitoba. And they are the ones who have sort of recapped what we've sent in with regards to our bylaw amendment. That's it.
Okay. So next up for a public hearing would be I would bring into the record any presentation submitted in writing on this issue, and just so everyone's aware, there has been no written formal presentations received to date with the City of Flin Flon. If anyone would like to make any written presentation or just if you're interested, there where you signed in this evening, there is a template for a notice of objection. If that is something that after you're done this public hearing you would still like to do, please feel free to take one of those forms, and then that will kind of help guide you with all the relevant information that you'll need. Okay, so without further ado now, I guess, are there any persons here wishing to speak on this matter?
Can I ask one question?
Well, just a second. Yeah, no, we always take questions at the end of the meeting. So if there's anyone here that would like to speak on that, the floor is open. The formatting for this would be any persons in favor would speak first, and then any people that were kind of against this would speak second. And you'd each have a 5-minute time limit just because nothing's been received prior to the meeting tonight. Well, yeah, if you're interested in speaking on this matter, please, I guess, just raise your hand right now. We do.
I just have a question, so.
Okay, we always take questions at the end. Is it a question in
I
this
think it's a
public,
question.
public, for this
Public.
bylaw?
That's what,
Okay, okay, we'll go ahead, yeah.
I'm just wondering, did, you consider Lakeside Park? Was there a reason why it wasn't considered?
Yeah, so essentially, right now what this bylaw essentially is looking to do is just change the zoning of that park from a green space or from a park to potentially residential. Nothing's been purchased yet, nothing's been decided. That's just the intent right now, and essentially what's happened is a developer has come through and is interested in building a facility in our community, the housing, seniors housing with assisted living. They did a tour of the city of Flin Flon and they've seen everything. I'm pretty sure that between people that work at the city and also the mayor, Mr. Fontaine at the time, they would have taken them around and showed them various green spaces or open areas. The developer, they are the most interested in that area.
Okay. No, I was just wondering, 'cause I mean, it's an unused place right now, there's very
Yeah.
minimal usage of it, and it's flat.
We've showed it to many developers over the years,
That is a good question.
so yeah, that's a good question.
So if this developer has got a plan in place, would the general public be able to see what their intention is and what they're planning on building? And at what point do they have to solidify a plan in place and what they're going ahead with?
That is also another excellent question. I think right now, my understanding would be that's kind of putting the cart before the horse because they can't put a plan in based on that land until the land is rezoned. Do you know what I mean? Like nothing can be, they can't say, okay, here's our plan to build seniors assisted living in that area until that is rezoned. So that would be, for them to go through all that work with engineering, again, I'm not a business person, to me, that would be, I
But they
don't,
must have some idea of what they want to put there if they've already looked and.
It's
And
a
that's the other
70
thing, too.
unit, it's a 70 unit assisted living.
How many floors?
They haven't said. Yeah, so they haven't actually given us the plan, just how many units they want to do, what company they're gonna bring in, and just basic, because Steve's right, like, they can't really do much until they know, because if they don't get that land, then they're gonna have to think of somewhere else, I guess.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you said that this is just preliminary planning, there's been no decision made or anything yet?
No.
Because it's already been surveyed and everything.
Yeah, it had to be done before, the survey had to be done so that we knew exactly what piece of property we were talking about. So that had to be done even before this meeting.
Some movement. You've had
So we know
survey
exactly, we
and
know
all.
the exact proportion of land, it was in the, it's in on our city website, it's 350 by 350 feet, I believe.
Is that including the parking lot or is that just the building itself?
I think that's
Parking lot for what?
that's the whole, that's what they're trying to buy is 350 by 350. So that would have to encompass everything that they are going to do.
So it's seniors complex?
Yes.
It's not
Yes.
low.
You
No.
know what, it's not low income
Why?
and it's assisted living, so even if you're not a senior, you would be able to live there.
Why does it say multifamily though? Multifamily
Yeah.
dwelling,
Is
Why?
that, like,
is that assisted living or?
You, me, her.
Well,
yeah.
yeah, but
But
I
you can
mean,
say different people living.
multifamily, I've been thinking family, not
Well, it's not.
senior housing, you know?
Well, it actually could be family
Well,
when we
okay,
think
but
about
I,
assisted
that's how
living.
I read it.
yeah,
And I think, and don't quote me, and I would ask our CAO to maybe clarify that at another time. I think that designation is what the minister deals with, and that's what the minister calls it. Because we can't just make up names for whatever we want to call whatever. So if it's going to be from residential to multifamily or whatever, so
But to
that's
me,
why.
Assisted living and multifamily are two different things.
Well, you could have senior couples in these places, and that would be a family unit. That's a small family.
Okay, Lynn, did you find anything to clarify or not?
It doesn't, I
Okay,
haven't
okay,
seen
no,
anything with
fair enough.
multifamily, but there is, I mean, we have talked about multifamily in the past as well, so there may have been some confusion around that. This particular piece is
Well,
for
you need to
assisted living.
clarify that though.
We are to
You need to
proceed.
clarify it.
That's what we have this for, is so we.
Yeah.
Okay,
Question.
I do have a question in the back though, yeah, so go ahead.
Two-part question.
Sure.
Is this the same person that was looking at building last year where the zoo is?
I don't
And you already
think so.
moved that to a
I
forward
don't
now with
think
previous
so.
council?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, I don't believe it is at all.
We've had.
What about, did they look at the Hemlock place where there
They
was,
looked at everything.
and they didn't like the place that was already there, the ground?
No,
So then you're just accommodating a person to get what they want
no, we're making,
versus what,
no, we're making land available so that we can have senior housing built. We've not had land available in the past. And so that's why Snow Lake has a nice seniors complex, and that's why Thompson has 2 more nice senior complexes and we don't. It's because we were never investment ready, and that's what we're trying to do.
so like the Creekside Park there, that big area. Oh, that's what you're talking
Yeah.
about? Okay, so
You didn't like that area?
they didn't like that.
No,
That's what I was told last time I asked that question.
Yeah.
At a meeting here.
Most cities, you'll find that they're trying to preserve their green spaces and
Yes.
stuff. Like, Willowhead Park, I live right across the street from it, there's families there, there's school, picnics there, there's people from out of town, tourists, family picnics, school events, Cranberry Portage will bring their kids there, soccer teams will come and have their lunch there, or whatever, before a game. Like, it's not like it's just this space that's dead trees and barren land and no one goes to. There's kids playing basketball there. And to know that to find out last night through Facebook that the Lions Club offered to put a spray pad in there and for
I've
us
not-
not to be charged for that.
I've never heard of that before. I've been here 23 years, I've never ever heard that. We tried to entice people to fix that park many times.
Mhm.
I have never heard, nobody in my lifetime here has ever stepped forward and said, hey, we'll pay to fix that park. Besides the fact that after, there's an engineering report from about, like, it's been closed a long time. There's an engineering report from about 12 years ago that said there was nothing there salvageable.
Yeah, I think that cost us $50,000.
So this company that's willing to put a building there, do they have other interest in the city of Flin Flon?
I don't know that.
Well, like,
What
who
do
are
you
these
guys
people
know?
then that they're coming forward, like, if you don't know?
Well, we know who the developer is that's interested, but of course, that's certainly not something that we're able to say anything about right now. We're not ready. The city cannot do anything with this developer, much of anything right now, because it's zoned, it's not zoned the way it needs to be zoned. So when you're dealing with a business bona fide, you can't just let those details out unless the business is ready to sign on the dotted line and go forward, or we're just gonna chase them away.
So can you put variances or anything like that, saying that that piece of property has to be a seniors complex? That that's what they have to build, they can't build?
We can do conditions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
But did we not hear that it's gonna be assisted living? Assisted living is not,
It's not the
is
seniors.
not, is not a seniors complex
No,
as
like,
per se.
absolutely.
The Legion Housing is a seniors
Yes.
complex. Assisted living is people that cannot live on their own and will have somebody there helping them all the time. Prep their meals and do whatever, that's assisted living. Whether it be families or not, I don't care how many times you change the wording, assisted living is for people that need help. Seniors housing, hey, that's where seniors can rent the place, like where the Aqua Center is going, those places, or the Legion Housing, which is seniors housing.
Have you ever been to the assisted living in Dauphin?
I've been to assisted living when my father lived there for 4 years.
Yeah, no,
42 rooms,
but
they're all for rent, and all their meals are cooked. It's assisted living, you can't live on their own.
now I don't know if this is gonna be fully assisted living, because the one in Dauphin, you move in on this floor, you can be totally independent. As you lose independence, you move down the floors until you're in assisted living. I don't know if that's what they're going to do here, I don't know that for sure. But I think with 70 rooms, it would be very hard to fill that with 70 people in Flin Flon that need assisted living.
Oh, I don't think
No.
so, we're an aging population.
Well, I know we are.
That's why
I don't think
Yeah.
so.
you're right, and that's why it's, this sort of thing is needed, whether
That's right.
you agree with the spot
I agree with
or
you, Mike.
whatever, it's
And I-
really required.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody's disagreeing with assisted
Yeah.
living
No.
or seniors housing.
Yeah.
I think it's just the area. And
Yeah.
I've sat here at a meeting, folks, for the ones that haven't been here.
Yeah.
And I was told, well, the seniors can get in their little mobile carts and go down the hill to the Aqua Center or to the school, or kids will love to come up and see them. If I'm in assisted living or a seniors housing, the last thing I want is kids hanging around and making noise and busy
Tom?
streets.
Can I just interrupt for a second? We do have those forms there if you'd like to make a formal objection.
Well, I'm not making an objection about assisted
No,
living.
we want it.
It's the spot, it's the
It's
location.
the
But
location.
you can make a formal objection about the location. So that's what this is about.
Okay, I've got one question here and then one there, so we'll go here, this side first.
So you say it's gonna be 70 units? Approximately 70 units? So it's 35 parking lots potentially, right? Could be, so I'd be taking that in, like, don't seem like a lot of room to me for
Yeah.
a building and then.
Well, as we say, you know, we need to see the plans. The plans can't be done until it's rezoned. It's as simple. That's really what this is about. And you know, maybe the developer changes his mind and wants to go somewhere else. But we need, the problem and what happened in the past, and we were all here for when they wanted to get rid of the zoo. The problem, what they were trying to do is be ready if somebody comes, and we don't want to lose it again like we did last time. Excuse me, to I believe Thompson.
Yes.
We need this, not only for our seniors, which I'm getting close to, but also it's a tax base or a source for the city. It's going to create jobs. It's going to create construction jobs for building the place. You know, as we say, it's all we're doing here tonight is rezoning. Hopefully, we're not going to do it tonight, but talk about rezoning that land so we're ready to go. And we'd have to have a look at the plans, I'm sure, before anything was built and see, you know, the variances and things like that. But nothing can be done at all until, you know, and Councillor Hanson said it right, it had to be surveyed, so we knew exactly how much land that we can use. Because I think each and every one of us said that we're not gonna get rid of the zoo, or if we do, we'd move it, but we don't wanna get rid of the zoo, we're not gonna get rid of the zoo. So,
And we're not moving it.
and we're not moving it, so, you know, that's the reason for that end of the property, but it's gotta be surveyed so we know how much we can give up or sell.
Okay, Eric, and then we'll come back here.
Mine's just quick. So during the previous meeting, the last time something like this was mentioned, as Councilor Slip mentioned, the idea that would have required the zoo to be moved in 2022. I asked during that meeting at the end, like if there is a change, like let's say the developer becomes enamored with a different property or something like that. If a land is zoned as a particular thing and then rezoned, it can also be rezoned back at a certain point, right? Is there any sort of waiting period or anything like that? Like, let's say they change their mind and they want to build at the old Ball Diamond at Creekside, it'd be great if they did for us. If they change their minds and they're accommodating of that, can the land that you're proposing to be rezoned here tonight be rezoned back to what it was at a later date?
Yes, it can be.
Okay. Just wanted to make double sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm just curious, if it wasn't a favorable spot for the pool, what makes it a favorable spot for a seniors?
Assisted living, or whatever.
Yeah.
Logistically, for a pool, the amount of water and weight, when they looked at the rock, and then also there was the whole problem with draining the pool. They would have had to put in a huge pipe going down through the schoolyard, up over the way and into the creek. So there was a lot of different factors that that made that, not a good spot.
One of the other big pieces about that spot for the pool was because we had to do a lot of blasting. Because there's the basin for the pool, and so there's,
Yeah, it had to be done quickly.
yeah. And so the blasting was predicted to be extraordinarily costly for the pool for that particular site.
And if it's a private developer coming in, the city doesn't have to eat that cost, right?
Yeah, that too. The cost is not ours then.
Yes, yeah.
At some point in that last meeting, they said like to construct the pool, they'd have to close down the zoo because of all the noise and the excavation and la-di-da-di-da to do with the animals. How is that gonna be any different this time?
They were closing the zoo temporarily for that. I'm not sure if this will be different or not. We'll have to see what the plans look like and the timing of the planning in terms of what they would be doing at what times of year.
Well, hopefully they'd be doing it in the summertime, so then you're not paying for heating and stuff like that, which would bring the cost of the building up
Yeah,
higher.
I suspect that that's what they would be looking at. But we could look to see if we could work around certain things with regards to keeping the pool open during that summer.
The
Sorry, the
yeah.
zoo. Thank you.
I think one other thing too that we haven't had a question on, which I'm kind of surprised, but I think the existing playground structures that are there, they wouldn't be, they'd have to be moved, but they wouldn't be garbage. So what's the plan? Do we know what the plan is to move those if this comes in?
Yeah, well, we could move them essentially to any other park that we wanted to put them to, or we could move them within that space itself because the zoo is staying there. We also have a campground master plan in the works. And there's some expansion with regards to the campground that's being talked about that we'll probably look at this summer, and we'll probably talk about when we do the financial plan in the spring. So you're welcome to come back, listen to that as well. And there are some opportunities there where we could do some expansion with playground equipment and whatever else as well.
Yeah.
Just a quick question. So after tonight, what's the next step? Where do we go from here?
Lynn, take it away.
The next step is that we will submit any written objections that we get with regards to the location. And we'll send it to the planning division. And the planning division will take a look at the objections, and they'll then move it forward to the municipal board, who will decide whether we can move forward with the zoning amendments. If they say yes, and there's some time that's involved, it's usually a few weeks. If they say yes, then we will be able to move forward to the next reading to be able to pass the amendment and then have that available for us to utilize with this developer.
Who's this municipal board? Who's that?
Municipal board is the governing body of the municipalities. So there are certain decisions that we make that need to go through the municipal board.
Is that a local group here?
No, it's a provincial.
Government.
It's Manitoba Municipal Board.
Yeah.
So any written objectives that you send to the planning, if you get to the planning?
We will send them in, yes, any written objections from tonight, we will send them in.
And then the municipal board will make a final decision?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
And one point about the objections, because I think people hear the word objection and they just think, I can only file one of these if I'm against the project. If you've got anything, like even if you're in favor of it, but there's some things you want to nitpick, can you file one for that?
Yes, the paper is there, you can say, phrase however you want to phrase it, say whatever you want to say, and we'll send it in. I believe the template asks you for your name, and where you live, because you do need to be a taxpayer to put in a formal objection. And so that information is requested on there, and then you have half a page to write, however you feel you want to write your objection.
Is there a certain date when you have to have these written objections, when you have to have them in?
End of public hearing tonight.
So the end of the public hearing
Yes.
tonight, okay.
So they can't be sent in at a later date, later
They
this
cannot
week?
be.
Okay.
Which is why we have the papers here, because we will take them all, send them all in, and they'll be there.
How do you expect us to write our objections out while the meeting's going on?
We'll wait for you.
So
wait.
you won't be having these, let's say, at your front desk for a week, so
No.
other people can, it's just
No,
whoever's here?
that's the regulation from, that's not our rule, that's the provincial rule.
So that provincial rule was only brought out today because
No, it's
nobody
not.
knew about this notification till today on Facebook when it was put on the city website,
It's
this
also,
hearing was going on.
it's also been in the newspaper and on the radio, and it's been talked
I
about
hate to
substantially in
disappoint you,
Flin
but not
Flon.
people-
No, not
Sorry, Eric, not a lot of
website.
people buy the newspaper anymore.
That's okay, if some people here read it, they wouldn't need to come tonight, so.
This,
Oh, I think we're gonna,
Yeah, any other questions or comments?
Infrastructure in that area, would that be able to support a 70-unit, complex? Or would that have to
Good
be
question.
upgraded to?
That's a good question.
Actually, the infrastructure that was all done down on Aspen Grove this summer
Yes,
that's all been taken into account. So we have brand new infrastructure from there all the way to beside Northland Ford. And the water requirements, well, we have a brand new water treatment plant at the bottom, so yeah, we're good with infrastructure. Both sewer and water.
Yeah,
I'm gonna ask Bill, how did you word that the infrastructure was there for this already? I thought it was just to repair the problem that was on, because it can't handle what's going down the hill now.
Well, it can
There's no
now,
infrastructure.
but it couldn't. So when they did this renovation, all this was taken into account. When the engineers engineered this, it was engineered also for future development,
including the pool too,
including the pool.
because that's also another piece.
Yeah.
any other questions, comments, thoughts? Okay, the public hearing on bylaw 2023-18 and bylaw 2023-19 held on January the 2nd, 2024 is hereby concluded. So for those of you that are here and if you want to stay for the regular council meeting, you can do so. If you want to leave, we'll give you a minute or two, you can leave. If you'd like to get a notice of objection and start filling that out, you can do that as well. There's pens there and paper, so we'll give a couple minutes transition time. And then we will carry on with the regular meeting. So they have to leave those objections if they're gonna file one, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, if you want to complete an objection form, there's seating at the back, pens, you can do that and then leave them with Lynn on your way out. No. Okay. There are chairs at that big table too if you want to use a table. Use a table.
He's coming for supper Thursday for Christmas supper.
Yeah, no, we will. Is that okay, Lynn? Do you want people to just give them to you on their way out? Like on their way out, is that okay? I didn't know, they actually should have asked that before. As soon as we're all past them, like, oh, what did they do? Okay, we will continue with our regular council meeting because I'm assuming if you aren't interested in staying, you're gone. As I mentioned, if you are filling the notice of objection, either leave it at the main table or you can give it to Lynn as we conclude our meeting. Okay, so we'll go back actually one step. So I have Councillor Slip.
Reading and confirming of the meeting, the minutes of last meeting, 0101, be it resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held December 19th, 2023 be adopted as received.
I'll second that.
Okay, seconded Councillor Hanson. All in favor? Carried. Resolutions, Councillor Dallas Funk.
Check schedule 01-02, be it resolved that the accounts in the amount of $506,637.34 be approved for payment. All the checks in the check schedule are online if anybody wants to look at that.
Okay, seconder, Councillor Eagle. All in favor? Carried. Councillor Richardson.
Borrowing resolution, Aqua Center 01-03, as the city of Flin Flon is desirous of establishing a borrowing bylaw to borrow funds to complete the construction of the Flin Flon Aqua Center. Therefore, be it resolved that council instructs the Chief Administrative Officer to determine the amount of the funds to be borrowed, establish the cost of borrowing, schedule a public hearing, and draft the borrowing bylaw specific to the capital cost of completing the City of Flin Flon Aqua Center be approved.
Seconder.
And at that point, that's essentially what I had assumed as well. And so we had looked at the fundraising, $2 million from fundraising. There was about $6 or $8 million, you might remember, I don't remember off the top of my head, from both federal and provincial governments, our own contribution. And then I had suggested that we might be having to look at a $6.5 million borrowing, which actually falls into line with the fact that at the end of this year, or for 2024, we will be completed some of our borrowing on the water treatment plant. So that $6.5 million cost of borrowing would essentially fall into place with what we're going to be paying off. And so there would not necessarily be an increase in any type of taxation either with that borrowing. But this resolution gives me the opportunity to narrow that down to see whether that's going to be 6.5 million or 5 million or 6.8. But certainly not, we won't be looking at 17 million, for instance. So I just wanted to make sure that you didn't think beyond that we might be looking at bigger numbers than we were originally. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Eagle.
Yes, this is resolution 01-04. Be it resolved that council grant Mayor Fontaine leave of absence for the council meeting to be held January 16th, 2024.
Seconder, Councillor Slip. All in favor? Carried.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, Councillor Hanson with a motion to adjourn, so we will go to, we're adjourned, we'll go to questions from the press and then the public, so go ahead, Rob.
Okay, so I know these are ballpark numbers. How much, do you have an idea what the new pool's gonna cost ballpark, what that's gonna be?
The last information that we received from the engineers, which was very recently, Caitlin just got that just before Christmas, we were looking at a final cost of 6.8 million.
Okay, and how much, and I know it's ballpark, and how much has been raised? Like just a ballpark, like I know you can't.
Well, we were at 400 and now we're at 500 because we got $100,000 donation.
From where?
I don't know if they're gonna publicly say that yet, because they're gonna.
So I'll just say an anonymous donation?
Yeah, it's from an organization in Flin Flon.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they don't want their name up there?
Not yet, I think they wanna do like a check and, you know,
Okay.
yeah.
Pictures and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll be launching my announcement.
And I guess for the borrowing, you're gonna approach both the provincial and federal governments, I guess?
Yes, I'm gonna look at debentures, so that's provincial governments, but we can also go to financial institutions. And to see, because we want to be competitive in the interest rate, right? I don't want to just go to one place and then find out that we could go to a better interest rate, because the borrowing, normally debenture goes from, up to 25 years. And so we don't want to have a high interest rate that's going to end up carrying us through 25 years, right?
Okay. So I just have one final question. Yeah, I know you're working to bring some, where's the grant status at? I know you're applying for grants, like, I mean.
So not last week, my days are all. On the 19th, I met with Minister Boucher, with Mayor Fontaine and his team, and that is the Minister of Northern Relations.
Okay.
And we talked about the last grant that Heather Stephenson and that government had said that we got.
Right.
That we had not been given an official letter that said no or yes. It was quite a long meeting. They said they would look into it, that of course we should be giving a yes or no. It was really promising because it wasn't no, you're not getting it. They very much want to see the difference in numbers from 2019 to the price now to see what that difference is, because that's where we're lacking the money, is the inflation increase, because at one point it was 10 million and now it's 17 million, that many, like only 4 years later. We can continue to grant this year and next year while we're building, so we're hoping that we can apply for 5 million again. It doesn't look good for the 5 million or the 10 million, but we were, hoping, but.
So you feel confident you'll get something though, right?
I think after the meeting, yes, because they've asked for more information.
Okay.
So if they weren't on board with us, we gave the whole presentation about the pool, how important it was to our community, how many outlining areas use it, the safety factor, the recreation factor, the wellness. rehabilitation, especially because it's zero entry now. And they were quite open to that, brought some definite letters of support from other organizations. So yeah, we're gonna be in contact with them to provide them the information they need and then grant again.
And Lynn, at the end of the meeting, I'll just talk to you quickly, just about some wording, just.
Yeah.
I don't need to ask you more questions, I just want to ask you about wording of something at the end of the meeting, please.
Well, I do have questions. Bet you're shocked. So first of all, this boring resolution, it says, like, obviously the things that it allows Lynn to look at here. It doesn't mention any sort of ballpark date in which, if approved, that would have to be done by. Is there an ideal timeframe for this?
Ideal timeframe is as soon as we can determine it, because we will be going into a major part of construction this year. And so to ensure that we have funding in place to maintain our cash flow and all of those things, it would be best to be able to have access to funding. And in that case, it could even be shorter term borrowing, it doesn't necessarily have to be a long-term venture. But that's all part of the questions that we're gonna be looking at. And so when I talked to the municipal folks, because this also is a municipal board thing, I have to go to the municipal board. They figured that if we were to go through the process, give ourselves time to have the public hearing so people can come and talk about the borrowing in the pool, that we could look at late spring, maybe early summer, so we would have things in place for construction to make sure that, because there will be major construction this summer.
And obviously, the city has looked at different grant streams for funding. You mentioned this, Allison mentioned it, Caitlin's talked about it, you guys have talked about it in the past.
Yep.
Are there any sort of new streams for grants, provincial, federal, or otherwise, that you're looking at for this year that we perhaps haven't checked out in the past? Are there any new avenues being looked at for funding?
We're always looking at new avenues for funding. One of the things about funding is when you're looking at provincial and federal governments, a lot of time you're not necessarily aware of what's coming up till April, because they're doing their own budgets right now. And so sometimes there are new things that pop out. All of a sudden, you've got a call for proposals on your table on a brand new grant. And so we're keeping our eye open for whatever we can.
That was definitely mentioned quite a bit when I was in Winnipeg. They refer to it as legacy issues, and that they're trying to come up with their own budgets from programs maybe that they don't support or want to support, and from money that was promised just like us. So
Legacy issues, that's a good euphemism,
Yeah.
I might steal that.
I said to her, I'm gonna get it in the meeting somehow.
Yeah, there you go. That investment ready,
Yeah.
like if you're playing city council bingo, you guys are doing pretty well for it. I also wanted to know too, because obviously the meeting, you guys had a meeting either in early December or late November, I don't exactly remember when, at AMM with different people regarding the pool. You mentioned that you met with Minister Bushy. Are there other meetings coming up in the near future with anyone in cabinet or anybody, like any MLAs or any political figures about this project? Like anything more?
I mean, we'll try to meet with them again. I just met with him. He gave us an hour of his time, which is almost unheard of, so we were really grateful for that. The other ministers would only see us for 20 minutes.
We're gonna keep knocking.
Yeah, like 2 years there, I walked out of the office and said, we're gonna be best friends, Bushy.
Play that northern card, it's like us northern.
Yeah.
That's right. Us northern officials have to stick together.
Yeah.
Also wanted to know, regarding the public hearing that we had earlier today, a lot of people had some interesting questions to ask, a lot of like insight to bring into this. I'd like to know, and it might be a little bit too early to ask because obviously you've got to process some things and make sure like I's are dotted and T's are crossed, all that. Was there anything brought up during the public meeting that kind of like changed the way that you saw the project or anything that you kind of wanted to take aboard from? Like any particular points?
Not me.
The only thing I could think of, I guess, is just to be clear, like nothing's done, nothing's confirmed. That would be, we couldn't do that. So I like the question about the parking lot, again, the size of it, like how large is it gonna be? I have no idea, and I have nothing to do with any buildings ever in that regard, like the actual construction. So those are more questions I would bring forward if the public hearing goes through and the bylaws change. I would be interested talking to the developer. If they say, yes, that's the spot that we want, because again, you know, it's not city money that's gonna be being used to build this parking lot for 70 units or whatever, it's them. So whatever they envision, however they envision that, they would have to stay within their parameters, we would have to rig something up for the infrastructure, so that was another good question too, like how is the infrastructure going to tie in? So I guess that's gonna be their issue. The one thing I can say, the developer that we're looking at, they have numerous properties or businesses and things like that, so it's not their first attempt at this. So I'm sure they've thought of more of these things than I ever have, but those were the interesting points or takeaways for me. And again, I can't answer them because I'm not the developer, I don't have anything to do with this person, I've just met them on occasion, that's it. So I guess I'd be interested in that for them, but at the end of the day, they could walk away and say, yeah, thanks for doing that bylaw, but now we're going to this other community, and we have nothing, like, we can't say we'll come back, but, so we're just trying exactly that investment ready, what Councillor Hanson said. We just wanna be prepared if they say, yeah, here's the money that we wanna pay, we're gonna start building, you know, on whatever date, then that's on them. So I guess those are just questions that I would like to ask them, and they probably already thought of the answers, but I hadn't. I didn't even think of the question, so.
Well, and like all of our other properties, like the hotel and stuff, we did put conditions in there.
Yeah.
In the contracts, so if their conditions aren't met, then after so many years, that property comes back to us again. So we can certainly do those kinds of conditions in all of our other dealings as well.
I like the bringing up of the multifamily unit and
Yeah.
not calling it that, and is it senior or is it assisted? Which is it? So I like that, because that wording can change a number of things.
You know, Councillor Dallas Funk mentioned legacy issues, and this has nothing to do with the hearing, but hopefully at the end of the day, somewhere in this town, there will be an assisted living, seniors assisted living, and the Conservative government promised assisted living facilities to different municipalities in Manitoba, Flin Flon not being one, or the north not being one. Katie was here.
Is that petition still here, by the way? Because I know she brought it up before Christmas, is it still around?
Well, I'll tell you that the provincial government, or the NDP provincial government has backed away from it.
Okay.
So this, you know, and I think it's Dauphin or Selkirk, I can't remember, very upset about it because they had plans, whoever it was had plans for it. Well, hopefully we. Yes, so hopefully, you know, to heck with the government, we have a developer somewhere that developed this senior or an assisted living place. So it just reminded me of legacy issues that the NDP government talks about.
Well, this, I keep going back, this company must have a vision of what it is they wanna put here.
Yeah, they must, yeah. They just haven't shared it with us.
Yeah, well, I
And they
think
can't
that's
until
gonna
we do
be
this part.
unreasonable.
Not really, when they don't have the property.
It's just, it's not there.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just thought of it, or I'd asked it at the appropriate time. Is this developer working in conjunction with RHA?
Good question.
I believe he's had conversations with RHA, yes.
Yeah, in case you guys didn't have enough of one West Haver at council meeting, we brought another one, we've got West Haver.
That's okay.
I was gonna say, you interrupted the reporter, you're in big trouble.
She's got your back in case you forget her.
Oh, Todd, I'm so offended, I love you. If you think I wasn't going to make a scene, come on. But to build a little bit off of what both of you said here, we've been made clear that this part is step one, rezoning the land. What I'm a little bit unclear is what steps 2, 3, 4 would be. So would this then be the developer submits the plan or renderings or anything like that to the city, and then you decide to make the deal based on that, or do you just sell the land and they do whatever based on conditions?
No, there'd have to be a plan of subdivision, I believe, done first.
And an offer to purchase.
And then an actual proposal of what they're going to put there. And then there'll probably have to be another public meeting. I don't know. if
Well, it would
were-
also depend whether the developer felt that they wanted to have a public meeting.
Yeah, yes, that's true.
Yeah.
So I have one more question. If this does go through and you change it, and there is an option out there that there could be a facility built there, is that going to be open to whoever else might want to come along and build something else there, just not this one particular outfit. Would that be open to somebody else?
It's
And we would have
open to the
to
highest
have the
bidder.
fees.
All of our
Appropriate
properties
highest
that are for
Appropriate
sale,
highest bidder, yeah.
for sale
If you
for
wanna put
anyone.
up a nuclear plant, we're not gonna let
Hey, you'll do good money in that.
you. Yeah, well, maybe.
Okay, we'll go back to any other questions from the press
Of
or?
course I got questions.
Okay.
What do you think? I
Keep
wanted
the
to
meeting
ask, somebody mentioned the Flin Flon Hotel project. And it's been a little while since we've heard anything about that, and I don't know, 'cause I would assume those are questions for the developer, but have there been any new developments for that from the city perspective?
The only, do you want me to?
Yeah.
Okay. The only extra information I have, Eric, is that I know that the developer has talked to local contractors to see about doing as much of the work. And right now, the work that they're considering, priority would be the demolition of the interior.
Mold remediation, anything like that too?
I think they've done the asbestos and mold remediation already.
Yeah.
The developer was hoping to get up here before Christmas and bring Mayor Fontaine with him on his jet, but of course he got COVID. So it's all in the works and we're hoping to have a Zoom meeting with him. in
So
the
they are
future.
committed to this project.
Absolutely.
Very committed.
Well, they put a banner up in front and everything.
If you saw Lynn's email, he's committed.
Okay, fair enough. I've been trying to harass that guy with questions too. I'll try again this week. I think the holidays kind of put the kibosh.
And he was sick.
He was
Yeah,
sick, he had
fair enough.
enough.
Also wanted to touch base on something, because there's the agenda from the previous meeting is here, or the minutes. Obviously, I wasn't here, I was out of town, that's some of my regrets retroactively. I wanted to know a little bit about the funding or the municipal funding application for the Flin Flon Archive Board for 2,500. Was, just so I'm clear, that was approved?
Yes.
Yes, it was
Yes.
approved.
Okay, perfect. And do we have any sort of documentation for what that money is gonna be used for?
We haven't set it up yet.
I knew you would answer.
I was waiting for him to answer.
Look,
Thank you.
if I'm gonna ask a question to council, I just kind of like put my eyes forward, knowing most of the time it's gonna be Lynn answering it. But I just kind of threw that one out, knowing that I'd have to turn this way.
The only thing that's gonna happen initially with that money is to pay for the website, the Flin Flon Heritage Project, because there's a $320 bill that was paid by the Heritage Project, and part of the board, as the Archives Board, the Heritage Project Board, was to take over the website, and hopefully get it all here instead of out of Winnipeg.
Yeah.
That's the thing, like, that's what we've been working on, trying to get going.
Okay.
Very
It's only been a few
worthwhile.
years, eh, Doug?
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I've only been at this since 2009.
Important work though, and appreciated work.
It's,
Yeah, it is.
yeah, there's not too many places that have what we have in history.
History, yeah.
Yeah.
Electronically anyways.
And a very dedicated group of people making sure it's preserved.
Sure.
Also wanted to know, and this would be probably the last topic I ask about, I bet you're relieved. Yesterday, Manitoba's provincial government put in a gas tax vacation, I think they called it vacation, what was it, like gas tax holiday, is that what they called it? For 6 months, not collecting any provincial gas tax, which is good for people to pump. But I do know that money collected from the provincial gas tax gets sent to municipalities for infrastructure projects. I wanted to know,
Not the carbon tax money.
I don't think this is the same thing though.
This is provincial tax.
This is
Provincial,
Okay.
Either way, is anybody expecting that to cause any sort of issue for city budgeting or infrastructure? Like, no issue?
I don't think so.
None?
Are we sure you don't know?
No.
Alright,
The other thing too is the province has indicated that they're going to ensure that we always receive a certain amount of per capita municipal funding.
Okay.
And that they're going to look at regular increases and ensure that that funding is available in a timely fashion for municipalities and for budgets. And so I'm not overly concerned about the 6-month tax holiday.
okay.
The A&M lobbied hard to have that, what do they call it, so we know what we're getting. I mean, it was sort of a
ahead.
crapshoot before, you know ahead of what, and also the escalators, they call it on. So that was, we talked about the A&M, but they really lobbied for that, and it sounds like it's coming to fruition.